Hi everyone, I'm Caran with kbphotographyandart.com, and today I'm going to show you how to draw this cat in colored pencil. I typically start with the background first on my drawings because I find it easier to get the values of the subject correct when I have my background already put together. So in this case, what you want to do is have a very sharp pencil and make your lines very close together. You don't want to rush the background. It takes a lot of patience to do a background in colored pencil. So now I'm going over it again with the second layer, this time with a darker purple. And now I'm going over it with a third layer of black this time. Remember to keep your pencil sharp. Now I'm blending the background with Mona Lisa odorless mineral spirits and going over it with another layer of black pencil. This time I'm going in the other direction just to kind of fill in the tooth in the other way. Just doing the whole thing, line by line. Now I'm using a scrub brush with the odorless mineral spirits to really get the pencil into the paper, really work it in. Next up are the eyes, and I start out with a dark yellow on the eyes, and then I add greens and blues. I just keep looking at my reference photo real closely and adding hints of colors that I see in the eyes. Just light layers and lots of them. Blend it out with some solvent. Use a sharp pencil. Just add more colors as you see them. If you look really closely, you'll notice all the blues and the greens and all the colors that are just kind of hidden in a yellow eye. Even the hints of magentas. You can go back and outline it with the dark brown and even black in places. Another layer of solvent. Then I'm going to burnish with the lighter colors, the whites and the creams. I want them to look really smooth, but they still need some more saturation. You need that color to be bright and make them really pop. Now the outlines of her eyes are kind of flesh tones, adding some pinks and blues reflected from the sky. She's got these brown or black speckles along her eyes. It's really just a matter of slowly building up the color and really just paying close attention to your reference photo. Now as I start the hair around the eyes, the fur, I lay down a light layer of Primrose. In fact, I do this underneath all of the fur on the entire cat. And then I just add layers of darker yellows and start adding in oranges. And you want to keep very short strokes. Sharp pencil. Your pencil sharpener is your best friend. When you're working over the bridge of your nose, you want to make sure that you keep the fur going in the right direction. Just very, very short strokes and just build it up with various colors, always light layers. Blend it out with solvent after a few layers and just keep working your way up. And the darker colors, I'm using the darker reds and browns and then adding the oranges in to try and blend it all in there together. And on the face, it's just so important that you pay super close attention to your reference photo and the direction the fur is going. A super, super sharp pencil. I just can't stress that enough. Now on the nose, you want to use your pinks and reds in very tight circular strokes. And get your highlights and your shadows. Add in some oranges and whites and burnish and blend. And don't be afraid of contrast. Don't be afraid to go dark. Now moving on to the more fur around the eyes. I just kind of work all over. Add a little bit more to the nose. But you'll see that every time I add more fur, I always do that base layer with the Primrose. So I want that to show through on my, after I do the individual pencil strokes. And just tiny strokes all over, following the direction of the fur. And just keep working on the face, building up your layers and blending it out with solvent, adding more layers. It's a slow process, but you have to work hard to keep the fur looking realistic. Just pay attention to the direction it's going in your reference photo. One thing I'll mention is stop every so often and take a picture of your work with your phone or something and compare it to your reference photo. You just swipe back and forth, use an app or whatever, and just study it so that you can see where your shadows need to be, where you might need to hype up contrast or lower contrast. Maybe one area is too light and you need to darken it, or vice versa. And just kind of study it, decide where you want to work next, what you need to do next, how you want to approach a work. I usually do this at the end of my working session, at the end of the night or whenever. And I just study it for a few minutes, and then I usually look over it again right before I start working the next day. And it really just helps to see where you need to work next, how you want to approach it. Now I'm starting on the ears, and again I put down my base layer of Primrose, and I keep going over it with other colors. And work around the outside a little bit, get that ring built up. Kind of blend out your colors. And then I work on the darkest parts of the inside of the ear, and in her case, they're really kind of a dark purple color, almost a bluish purple. And I just kind of fill that in. I lightly shade in the lighter areas with Primrose, and these hairs are longer, so you're going to have longer strokes. You want to cover over that with your Primrose. And do the same thing on the other ear. Now there wasn't as much dark areas showing on the other ear. Now it's on to her chest, and it's basically the same story as before, as on her face, only this time you're using longer strokes, and your pencil doesn't have to be quite so sharp. It'll work just fine so that you can get kind of a softer look. Her fur is longer, and it's a little bit less in focus. You want the focus, all the attention is on her face, so you don't need as much sharp detail on her chest. So I just keep working that out, light layers, lots of them, blending them out and adding more. Use the base layer of Primrose, it's the Luminance Primrose. And then I go back and add my oranges and the yellows and the browns and the reds, the violets. And then I go back and burnish with strokes of white. I'm not using a lot of white, I'm just using kind of heavy strokes of white to kind of lighten it up here and there. This is an area where taking a picture of it really helped, because when I first finished this section, it was way too light. And I had to come back and darken it, and I never would have noticed that without taking a picture of it first. Now here I went back and added another layer of purple to the background. I just wasn't satisfied with the black. So you just want to use this sharp, sharp pencil. I can't stress that enough. It just needs to be super sharp. And blend it out. And I actually did another layer after this that I didn't show. Now for the whiskers I used Winsor & Newton white calligraphy ink with a very fine brush. Just brushed that on, touched it up with some pencil, and that was it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you'd like to see anything more, let me know in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.